Next, we're going to turn to questions, and as always, I appreciate the questions. I'm honored by the trust that is invested in sending these questions. Sometimes I have to kind of repackage them just a bit for appropriate use on this podcast. But this is an issue that really needs to be confronted, and I appreciate the young man, the young husband who sent me this question. And he mentions that as a young, newly married man, he had had a history with pornography addiction. He says he went to his pastor prior to getting engaged, and he's made significant progress in destroying that sin in my life. We can certainly pray that it will be destroyed indeed. But then he goes on to say there's another area where I still struggle. It's in what he calls emotional infidelity. He admits an active imagination, and he sometimes imagines himself questioning what his life would be like if he had married someone else. Okay, let me just stop there. I don't need to go any further. This is a very legitimate issue. It's a very urgent issue. And I think the man who trusted me with this question knows it's a very urgent issue. And I would place it right alongside pornography because this is another form of pornography. And you say, well, how is it so? Well, it's because of this. There are different kinds of pornography. One of them is what one looks at. The other is what one imagines in the mind. Both of them are forms of pornography. And you're not going to get caught with ideas in your mind. That's only between your two ears, so to speak. It's in your mind. But the fact is, it's going to show in its corrupting influence in your life and in your marriage for sure in some very damaging ways. We're not allowed to commit any kind of infidelity as Christian husbands. We're not allowed to commit any kind of emotional infidelity as well as physical infidelity. That emotional infidelity will not come without a horrifying moral cost. I think, speaking to the young man who sent this, the young husband, I think you know that. I think that's why you ask it out loud. And I think this is something that as pastors, as Christian leaders, we come to understand that oftentimes people ask questions and they know the answer. They just need to have a little help in framing the answer. And I think sometimes all Christians need to hear certain statements made, certain moral judgments affirmed in such a way that we just have to say in our minds, I know that's absolutely true. I have to live that to be true. I have to fight sin in my life. And so I would say to this young man, you already know by calling it infidelity, it's wrong. You already know it. So I realize that many people will say it's more complicated than this, but the bottom line is the only way to kill this is to stop it. I mean, just stop it. And I would also say that you need to go to the elders of your church. You need to go to the spiritual leaders of your church and go and ask for help in this, because this is where we need brothers in Christ who will know how to watch us and ask the right questions and observe our marriage and observe our conduct and be able to speak into that. So to the young Christian man, the young Christian husband who wrote this letter, I just want to say you answered the question yourself in terms of the morality. I just want to urge you to get substantive help and encouragement, edification and oversight from those who are assigned and responsible for your care in the local church. And they should be eager to extend that care to you and understand the nature of the sin and the temptation as uniquely men can understand of each other.